Part C says the company makes 40,600 headphones in 1 year. Write this number in words. So this one is just related to the topic numbers. Okay, so that is 40,600. So 40,600 in standard form, and this part is related to standard form. Just a quick hint as well. What was standard form? The decimal should be placed after the first non-zero digit. So right now it's 40600 and then the decimal is here. So I have to move the decimal after 4. Okay, that means I have to move 1, 2, 3, 4 places on the left side. So whenever we are moving towards the left side, the power of the 10 would increase. Okay, so whenever you move the decimal towards the left side, you have to increase the power of the 10 by that number. If you're moving towards the right side, then the power of the 10 will be decreased by 1 unit. So right now, again, we are moving 1, 2, 3, 4 units. So it's going to be 4.06 times 10 to the power of 4. So that is the final answer in standard form. Part D says in 1 month, the company sells 3,000 headphones. Of these, 48% are exported. 3 by 8 are sold to shops and rest are sold online. Calculate the number of headphones that are sold online. Again, this part is related to arithmetic, in which we covered percentages and ratios. So revise both of these topics. Let's do it now. It says the total number of headphones are 3,000, 48% are exported, 3 by 8 are sold to the shops and rest are sold online. We have to find how many of them are sold online. So let's quickly calculate. If 48% are exported, that means it should be 0.48, that is 48% of 3,000. And if I calculate it, it's going to be 1440. So these are exported. Okay, 3 by 8 are sold to the shops. So 3 by 8 of 3,000. So that is going to be 1125. That is sold to shops, and the rest are sold online. So how many will be sold online? So I'm gonna say sold online are 3,000 minus 1440 minus 1125, and the final answer would be 435. So part E says 1 year sales increased by 15%. The following year sales increased by 18%. Calculate the overall percentage increase in sales. So again, it's the topic, sorry, the question is from percentages. Let's say in the initial year, if you remember, whenever we have the questions from percentages, and that is increase or decrease in percentage, we always assume the original value to be 100%. That was the trick that I told you. So original value, or the value that you are comparing the value to, or in case of the pricing, it is the cost price. That would always be assumed as 100%, right? So the original value that I've just assumed as X, that we are supposing at 100%, it is increased by 115%. So what would be the new value? Let's call that Y. Quickly find out Y. It would be y equals to x times 115 divided by 100, which is 1.15x. And now it says that following year sales increased by 18%. Now this value would be our 100%. So I'm gonna again compare the percentages by any quantity. Let's call that sales. And it increased by 18%. So what would be the final answer? Again, let's call that Z. And let's find out Z. It's going to be Z equals to 1.15x times 118 over 100. And if I solve it out, it's going to be 1.357x. We have to calculate the overall percentage increase in sales, right? So how much, if I keep this in percentage, it is basically now 135.7%, right? So how much is the overall percentage increase? That would be 135.7% minus 100, and the final answer is 35.7%. So this is the final answer. Okay, now there are two ways again. Either we do it this way, that we've assumed the original as 100% and we have calculated the first increase and then the second increase and then we subtracted it. The other way would have been you assume this as 100% and then you straight away just find out that percentage increase. So instead of 15, I would have said 115, I would have said 15 here and then calculated that one. And then for the next one as well, I'll assume the answer to that one as 100% and calculate 18% just, and then add those both answers. It should result in the same answer, 35.7. Let's move on to the question number 2. Question number 2, now it says the table shows some values and it is some equation. Now what I can see over here is that this question is from the graphs of functions. Okay, so revise those ones quickly. That include plotting, sketching, and a few shapes of graphs. Now let's go ahead. It says y values are rounded to one decimal place. First part is complete the table. That means we have to find the value of y when x is negative 0.75. So I'm just gonna put this value in this equation. So negative 0.75 square minus 1 over 3 times negative 0.75, and it's going to be minus, so it's 0.5625 minus, so this minus and this minus will become plus. I'm just gonna say plus, so it is 3 times 0.75, 1 divided by answer, and then you add 0.5625 to it. It's going to be 1.0069, and we have to round it off correct to one decimal place, so it would be 1.0, okay, according to one decimal place. Similarly, quickly calculate it at negative 0.5 as well, so it would be 0.25 plus 1 over 3 times 0.5 is 1.5, so plus 1 over 1.5, and that is 0.9167. We have to calculate it correct to one decimal place, so it would be 0.9. Alrighty, so this is part A. Let's move on to part B. Part B says, on the grid, draw the graph of y equals to x squared minus 1 by 3x for these values. Now, again, it is from the topic of graphs, if you remember, graphs of functions. So we have to basically plot it. For that one, just let's quickly see what is the scale that they have set for x values. Now I can see this box, one box is representing 0.5. Okay, that means the small box, so on x-axis the scale is 0.5 divided by 10 would be 0.05. That is the scale for x-axis, and the scale for y-axis is, have a look here, this one box is 1 unit. That means the small box would be 1 divided by 10 is 0.1 unit. Okay, so I've just written down the scales for myself, what as per what is used in the question. So x is, for x is greater than 0, that is drawn. We have to draw it for these values of x, which is not drawn. Okay, let's plot it. Now let's do it. So at x equals to -2, y is 4.2. So x equals to -2, y is 4.2. So 4 is here. On the y-axis, we can see the scale is 0.1, so 4.2 would be here. Okay, so I've just marked it and just made a circle around it, so that is clearly visible. Minus 1.5, it is 2.5. So x minus 1.5, y is 2.5. So 2 here, 2.5 is here. There you go. At minus 1, y is 1.3. So minus 1, y is 1.3. Here we go. At x negative 0.75, so negative 0.5, 0.75 would be here. Y is 1. So exactly this one. At x equals to negative 0.5, y is 0.9. So negative 0.5, y is 0.9. So 0.9 is here. Negative 0.25, so negative 0.25 would be here. Y is 1.4, so 1.4. And then negative 0.1, y is 3.3, so negative 0.1, that means it would be two small boxes, it's 3.3, so 3 here, 1, 2, 3, here you go. Okay, so I've sketched, I've plotted all these points. Now what I would do is, I'm just gonna join them via smooth curve. Alrighty. Okay, so this would be the curve. Make sure it is a freehand curve, but then you guys will be using the pencil, so you can erase it. Right now I don't have the tools. If I raise one part, it's gonna be raised fully. Okay, and then the last thing is I'm just gonna label the points as well. So that is negative 2, 4.2. This one is negative 1.5 and 2.5. This one is negative 1 and 1.3. This one is negative 0.5 and 1. This one is negative 0.5 and 0.9. This one is negative 0.25 and 1.4. And then this one is negative 0.1 and 3.3. Okay. So this was the answer to part B. Make sure the points should be visible clearly. The curve should be smooth curve. It's a freehand curve. Do not use the scale to join them via straight lines. You'll be losing the marks, and the points should be correctly plotted. So that if all of these things are there, you're gonna get all 4 marks. Okay. Last part says, by drawing a suitable line on the grid, solve the equation x square minus 1 over 3x plus 1. Okay, square minus 1 by 3x plus 1 equals to 0. We have to draw a suitable line and then solve this equation. That is part C. Okay, now for this one, always the trick is, what do? We have to make this equation same as the one we have drawn in graph, just like this one. Okay. And now we can see that what's happening is we have just this plus 1 extra. So if I move this plus 1 onto the other side, it's going to be x squared minus 1 by 3x equals to negative 1. Okay, now have a look here. If you observe, it is, this part is showing the graph that is just sketched here, this one and this one. And if I draw a line that is y equals to negative 1, which would be, let me draw it quickly. So y equals to negative 1 would be a horizontal line. Here you go. So the solution to this equation would be where both of these lines are intersecting. Okay, this y is equal to this y. So where are the both of the y's equal? That means both of the graphs equal, or both of the graphs should intersect. It's this point. Okay, so what is the value of x at this point? That would be the solution. Let me see what is the value of x at this point. So it's going to be, I think it looks like, so negative 1 over the scale, it was negative 0.05. So the x value would be, till here it's going to be 0.25 plus 0.05 is 0.3, and then it's in between that one. So I'm gonna say it's 0.35. So x is 0.35. Okay, so I'm gonna clear my screen because I have to. Let's go down, and it is 0.35. Oops, we have changed the color. Let's go back to the original color. So it was 0.35. Okay,